tell them it would cause a lot of career. Now we say bring back the old At the end of the day, all them hypocrites go pay. Now we say bring back the old bring back. I say it's money me sell. Come. Landa da lande.
We say good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to all our viewers, to all our listeners. Welcome. Please. Go ahead. Okay, we say good morning, good morning, good morning. Son? Okay, we say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all our viewers, to all our listeners. Welcome to today's edition of the Good Old Days here on 2020 Vision Radio. Always a pleasure reaching into your homes, into your hearts this time on a Saturday morning. And we do hope that your day is off to a great start. And, you know, sometimes we plan certain things, we expect certain things, but the day might turn out differently. But, you know, whatever challenge we are facing, let us try and persevere and see if we can be of support to each other. We really want to remember in our prayers. I know we have been there for them, we have been supporting them, but we continue to hold them in our hearts and in our prayers. The folk there in St. Vincent, you know, who is going through that difficult situation with the volcano, La Soufrière, and, you know, all others who may be going through any trials. Let us try and sustain them, okay, with prayer, and also do whatever we can do to help them. And so we bid everyone here in Nevis, everyone over there in St. Kitts, those in the region, and of course those in the diaspora, we bid you a very, very pleasant good morning and a special welcome to today's edition of the Good Old Days. I say good morning to Renford. I know you are in tuned. We say good morning to you and family, and we extend blessings to you all. Good morning, Shefton, and good morning, Mr. Lofton Pemberton.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Chesley. Good morning, Chesley. Good morning, Mr. Pemberton. To the best of my knowledge, Chesley, I am meeting Mr. Pemberton maybe for the first time, maybe somebody who I've seen. But I am happy to know that he originates from the same place I originate. Yes. The same Websgum route. So good to have you, Mr. Pemberton, and we're looking forward to hear from you. And to our good old days, family and friend, far and near, we say it's good. We are happy to be connected with you again, and we look forward to having another exciting time of interaction. Now, I'm going to have to put in a disclaimer up front early and say I promised last week here on the show that I would bring a sample of what we use as what we call the conky bush for us, that we wrap our conky in. But I left home very early this morning, and in my haste to get out, it slipped me. But while it was getting close to the time for the program, I remembered. I wondered if I could make it back home and get back, but then it was kind of cutting it close. So I will have to try and remember to have that bush to share with me next week when we come on the program. And I apologize again. So good morning once again, and we look forward to interacting with you. Remember, you can share with us on the program. My telephone number 669-7312. You can use that for WhatsApp as well, or you have 766-7312, or there is 469-7953, or on the Magic Jack is 1917-460-2187. Okay? We'll be looking forward to hearing from you and sharing with you.
Okay, all right. Well, we have with us our very special guest, Mr. Lofton Pemberton. Okay, of course, who hails from Nevis. Yeah, I mean, he's going to tell you a little more about himself for those of us who might not know him so well. But many of us would have seen him around, and he's making a significant contribution in the area of research. Okay, as we celebrate our people, you know, we have folks like, you know, Mr. Pemberton, okay, who is going to the homes of these folks and really digging up some very useful information. So we are happy to have him this morning, and he's going to be sharing on two of our celebrated Nevision icons. We have the late Dr. Daniel Reynolds Walwyn, better known to us as D.R. Walwyn, pioneer in the field of banking, and also Mr. Carlton Tyson. He's still with us. We know that he's a renowned fisherman, one of our celebrated sons of the soil, and so we'll be focusing on those two. And so, as we say good morning again to Mr. Pemberton, we'll just ask him just to give us a little idea of who he is and if he can connect us to the point in Nevis where he's from. Yes.
Good morning, panel guests, and good morning,
just give
listening audience everywhere. My name is Lofton Pemberton. I'm a hail from the soil. I migrated to the beautiful island of St. Croix in 1968, where I got most of my education. I started here, my education here at the Charlestown Boys School, where I learned to read and write in strong fundamentals at the age of 4 and 5. I mean, I was able to memorize the times table and can read fluently and so forth, which was the foundation of my education as I went to the Virgin Islands and happened to go at an opportune time, because during that time there was it's during the equal rights struggle within the American diaspora in America as well, and also, but in the Virgin Islands itself, we had prejudice among ourselves, which was we have the local against the people from the Caribbean and so forth. So, but it was an environment which has prepared me or brought me this far, because you get your education in terms of black consciousness and so forth. And I can remember, I mean, St. Croix, besides Haiti, we also give tribute to, I mean, who under the founding fathers were able to lead Haiti into independence after being the major producer of wealth for France, and through the spirit of the ancestors and so forth, they were able to fight off all the colonial power at that time, which including Spain, as I said, France, also the Spaniards. And they have been a help to Africa, people in America, and also the diaspora. And they have been through a lot, and we need to, instead of staying from them, we should need to learn from them. And also we're able to be, in the Virgin Islands, we also had some serious uprising. We had the Budho uprising, we had the revolts in the Virgin Islands. We have, I mean, icons such as Queen Mary, who happened to become the first woman to be memorized. They have a bronze statue now in Denmark in commemoration of for what she did. And that was quite an honor and so forth. And also being taught in school by some of the most conscious people at the time, from 1968 until, I mean, especially my junior high school years, we started from 1970. I grew up in a we call Grove Place, where we have a lot of people from Nevis who migrated there and so forth. But it was a well-run education in terms of consciousness. I grew up there. I excelled academically and in sports. Ended up with a basketball scholarship. And when I was able to go to what we call a historical black institution, which is Livingstone College, and which further cement me in the consciousness of the struggle of our people. And I'm a former educator and St. Croix teacher, coach, but my passion is consciousness for our people, and equality, and also to put a light on those who have laid the foundation for us to follow in times when things were most difficult, going against the establishment and so forth, were able to do well. And if a fireman set an example.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yes.
Right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Chesley, let me just acknowledge some of those who are in class already. And the first thing I want to do, Chesley, I want to extend the best of birthdays wishes to one of our ardent members, listeners, and supporter, my dear sister and friend, Janet Grell-Hull.
Today's a birthday.
She's
Wow.
celebrating
Okay,
today.
all
She's
right.
and you know when
Birthday.
when I saw the notification, Janet Grell-Hull birthday, I saw the notification come up on my Google calendar yesterday for tomorrow. I said, wow. And in my idea thinking, I said, boy, I wish I could age like Janet.
So gracefully and
Yes,
and
because
so smoothly.
because here you know, the other day idea thing, and I had a conversation with someone. I tell them, well, the next milestone I'm looking forward to. Well, I spoke to they tell me they celebrated 60 last week. I said, well, congratulations, my brother. He's a gentleman. I said that is the next milestone I'm looking forward to. I still have a few more years to go to meet that 60th birthday. I know Janet has passed that, because I remember I heard her speak on a program some time ago, and she did at that time. She was already qualified to collect Social Security, and so I am looking forward to 60, and then I want to look forward to the Social Security setting. But what I'm saying, she's already up to age to collect the Social Security, but she don't look so.
Yes.
She don't look so, and me look like me closer the other way I have. So,
Yes.
Janet,
She's
I want to
very-
wish you the best of birthdays today, my dear. May God continue to shower His blessing on you, and may you be around to celebrate many, many, many more years.
Hip, hip, hooray.
I did.
Hip hip.
Hooray! Yes, you are indeed an icon among us, and so we are happy to be able to celebrate with you. If she's not on yet, I know she is going to log on, and somebody will let her know. Okay, so that is the first order of business, and then I want to recognize the persons who are already in class. The first person at the top of my list that I can see, I see Myrna Davis. He's saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Myrna. And I see Elvia Foster Davis. She's saying, morning, y'all. New York in the house. Tammy Lake. Oh, yes. Tammy, I didn't see your name show up last week. I don't know if you were there or not. But I would want you to know people like Coletta and Claudia and Tamisha and so on. They were listening ardently. And I'm hoping that they are on today. Promise me they will be on. So Tammy is here saying, good morning. It's been okay. It has been a while, but I know how work goes. So
Yes.
I hope my little cherubs are doing well this morning. I hope you have them listening to it. So good morning to you. Rhonda says, you get old, chef. You start forgetting. I wonder, you know how we going on. Okay, Piola Hanley is there. Melissa Pemberton says, good morning to all teachers. Back to school on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Adele is in saying, good morning, teachers and guests. Elvia says, Elvia says, speak up. Elvia, I hope you are hearing us now. I did put the mics up. Just that we have to keep a little closer to our mic sometimes, though. Evan Jeffers says, 3 p.m. here, watching from UK. Rhonda Brown, Jetty Taylor, Joseph Parry. Okay, he's saying, greeting to those. Jam Fabs is on. Jennifer Fabs is in saying, good morning to the Fabs in Nevis and all over. Good morning to the Claxtons at Bath Village as well. And to all, I am so thankful for the good old days. God bless. Donna Howell, Vincent Reverend Donna is in saying, good morning, good old days, family. Tessa Brown, Paris is saying, good morning from country. I am in class. Great. Cheryl Terrell is in as well, in early, saying, good morning, everyone. Ren, good morning. Have a great day. Ermin Farrell is in and watching. Adele says, leaving class early today, so I would like to get an excuse note, please. Okay. Julie noted. Sharon is in as well. Sharon Pemberton is watching. Rhonda says, happy birthday to Janice Daniel Hutch. Oh, today's Janice is done. Oh, okay.
Happy birthday.
Political leader.
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Hodge. I hope you have a swell day today. I hope you don't work too hard at the breakfast sale this morning, saying that it is your day of celebration. Adele is saying happy birthday to Janet Grell-Hull. Yes. Farrell is saying good morning all. Sharon is saying, hey guys, what's up? We are here. Andre Hendrickson Lewis says, good morning all. Hope Ren is getting better. Miss him. Good morning family. Jam Fobs. Oh, and Tammy says, yes, they are tuning. Great, great. Ermin Farrell is saying happy birthday to Janet Grell and Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. And Piola is saying good morning. Those are the comments and submissions that we have so far. Okay.
All right. So Lofton, we go straight to Mr. To the late Dr. Daniel Reynolds Walwyn. Okay. And
You know, Chesley, just
yes.
continue. So, but you know, a lot of people think the Dr. Walwyn is simply Dr. Walwyn, you know. They don't realize it's Dr. Dr. Walwyn.
Yes.
It's a lot of Dr. he have in his name.
Yes.
So he's really the Dr.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And also we have Mr. Carlton Tyson. But I just want to ask you up front, Lofton, what would have motivated you? What's behind your inspiration into researching these icons?
Okay. What got me started was I did an article with Banky,
Yes.
and it took me into what he is today. He could not become what he is without the environment in which he grew up in. After Tyson, he had his great-grandfathers. They all was entrepreneurs and with the farmers. You have Desmond Tyson as well, Mr. Carlton Tyson, and he had other family members who were either in the butcher shop. So all aspect of farming was covered in his growing up, and everybody worked well together. And his mother as well, which is affectionately known as Teen Tyson, she's also an entrepreneur. And his uncle Mansa is also a well-known farmer and so forth. And so he was able to grasp, and as a youngster, he was able to grasp a little bit from everyone because they would give him a little money and so forth for helping and so forth. And so that led me to Mr. Carlton Tyson. I had to find pictures of these great icons. Cause I'm also friends with these two gentlemen, children, you know, but I never really got to know them personally because I grew up in the Virgin Islands. But as a youngster coming back home, I always was drawn to the older people.
Folks.
I just love being around old people because they have so much wisdom to dispel.
Yes.
You understand? People shun them. So I would look forward to my great uncle or my grandmother, and again I was raised by had the privilege to raised by my great grandmother. I mean, as well. So it just wisdom and understanding have so much to offer,
Yes.
and they have seen so much, and we often tend to shun them. So, but that what led me to Mr. Doing the research in Banky, and so I then. The owner of the newspaper, which happened to Mr. Kenneth Williams, he also a great fan of Mr. Carlton Tyson.
Yes.
And so he kind of encouraged me with that, and so I went after it. And so I approached Mr. Tyson. I mean, he's such a humble and cool, calm, and has so much to offer.
Yes.
And to see that after all these years that he still runs his business, you know, and he's going shopping and so forth. So it was a pleasure be able to sit down and interview him. I didn't even want to leave,
Yes.
you know, because he has so much to offer and so forth.
Okay, so you spoke to him in person. What about for Dr. Walwyn though? How were you able to get the information?
Okay. With
He had-
Dr.
yes.
Walwyn, okay, what led me to Mr. Walwyn was the fact that I was doing an article on the historic takeover of the Bank of Nevis, of RBTT, former Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, and also the Royal Bank of St. Kitts, Royal Bank of Canada in St. Kitts.
Yes.
So, which led to the find out who was the founding father of banking. And I'm also a good friend of his great, grandniece, Leonora Walwin, and so she was able to get me some information. Then I was able to also, actually, while I was also researching DR after that story, his great granddaughter Renee, who have the tiling business close by the gas station over here,
Yes.
she told me to check out Mr. Carlton.
Okay.
Because Mr. Carlton Tyson and her father was a good friend.
Okay. Okay. All right.
See,
That's
so
okay.
you know, those kind of people kind of mesh together and so forth. So they was closely connected, and he said he was fond of DR as well, because he also inspired him in certain ways.
Okay. All right. So D.I. Walwin, hails from Bat Village, right? Hails from Bat Village.
Exactly correct.
Okay. Connected to the Walwin family.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay. Now, had a quite an interesting
Connected to the Walwin family?
well, he is
yes.
the Walwin family is
Yes.
because even I found out later on that his mother,
Yes.
which is known as Ma
Yes.
Walwin,
Yes.
she was also in education, preschool and so
Yes.
forth and whatnot.
Right.
And she also he would donate some land for the school in Bad Village,
Yes.
the Maud
Yes.
Smith.
School. Yes, I just found out after I did the article as well.
Okay, let me just interject two more. Okay, just let me just recognize a couple other persons who have just joined us and have commented. Civilian Stapleton is in, and Civilian is saying good morning all. Ian Taylor is in saying good morning, my good old days hosts and guests. Family blessings, God's blessings to Renan family. Happy birthday to Miss Janet Grell Hull and Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. Great leaders, indeed. Teresa Brown Paris says, who's your guest? I don't recognize him. Okay, our guest today is one Lofton Pemberton. I am proud to say that he has roots out of Websgong, where I was born. He indicated in his opening sentence that he migrated to USVI, St. Croix, at a young age where he grew up. But I get a feeling that he always had his place of birth was always indelibly edged in his heart.
Yes.
So he's back to make his contribution. He has been back for a little while. So he's Lofton Pemberton, and as Chesley would have indicated, the focus of discussion today are two great gentlemen, one who would have departed this life already and one who is still with us, in the persons of Dr. Daniel R. Walwin, entrepreneur, banker, and Mr. Tyson. Which one is his name? Carlton Tyson.
Yes.
Carlton Tyson of Jessups, right?
That's correct.
Yes. Who has been known as a long-standing entrepreneur in fishing business and so on. Okay, let me see. She said also, good morning all. Hope Ren is getting better. Miss him. Good morning. John Ford said, oh, hi, Andrea, how are you? Piola, I mentioned. Carl Manners. Carl Manners says, good morning all. Please turn up Mr. Pemo's mic. He's close, but is still not
Maybe need to
punching the way. Okay, I'm going to check something. Still not punching the way he should. Okay. We really need to hear what he has to say without straining the ears. I'll do my best. Adele says, Iona Dua, come take notes for me. Thanks, LOL. Iona says, good morning, teachers, students. I'm late, but better late than never. You like that line, eh? That's not going to get you early time, okay. Okay. That's four, right? Okay. Continue, Mr. Pemberton.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I'm also from.
Okay.
I was born in Charleston, Nevis, for those people who don't know, and my grandmother is the great past Miss Payne, Melvina Payne, who worked at the hospital for some time, and also the mother of the Honorable Michael Powell. So he's my uncle. I'm also family to the Willits, because Arthur Willett was my grandfather as well. And I'm also Clark and the Daytons are my family as well. I put here in the Virgin Islands, but I'm also an educator. I was able to, from a science teacher to, I was also a school administrator at the St. Croix Education Complex, where I opened it with Mr. Santana as assistant principal. But I'm here to talk about myself, but
Yes.
I don't want to lose the focus what we're here for, which is to talk about these two outstanding icons in this country, who have been a fighter for the common people and supporter of the common people for quite some time. And we have a tendency to forget these people and their contribution. And I think we need to be remembered, because even going through to the museum, I was trying to get information on Dr. D.R. Walwyn, and I couldn't hardly find anything. And so my next goal is to become a member of the Historical Society and Conservation Society to make sure that our people are documented.
Very good.
You understand?
Very good,
Because
yes.
our people, our children we need someone to look, they need mentors, and people they can look back and say, well, they did this and so forth. It can be inspiration and so forth. Because our people has been a contributor of everything from, you name it. I mean, our ancestors brought everything to this world. But even though that information was removed from the history book, and we put in the conquerors or colonizers are taking all the credit and so forth. So we need to write our story in spite of his story, and also be able to praise our people, and so our people will have good role models in terms of going forward and so forth. Because we have a lot, but we have to put the research and let them know that there are people who have laid the foundation, and they can become anything they want to be. Only thing can stop them is their mind. But whatever you believe or your mind can conceive, it can be achieved.
You know, Mr. Ponton, you touched on something there that keep being emphasized time and time again, and that is that fact that states a need for us to be better at documenting. You see, we are on a journey. Life is a journey,
Of course.
and if we don't document, then who come behind will not know what we would have passed through, the way we would have come, the way we would have gone. And so documentation is indeed of utmost importance.
It's absolutely.
And if we don't document for ourselves, I mean, others might document for us.
And they will document what they want us to know.
And interpret things how they want to interpret.
Yeah, and
Yes,
so
yes,
and so
okay.
it's amazing that somebody else from some place remote to our place would come to tell us who have lived it how it went.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that is something to take. That is something to take seriously.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, you would have shared that D.R. Walwyn, from an early age, was a very serious student. Okay, very enthusiastic about his his education.
But
yes.
okay. Well, that stemmed from his parents.
Yes.
I don't. His mother and father were stalwart about education as well, because and they were concerned about the harshness of the school headmaster at the time in the primary school. So that's why they end up sending Dia and his brother to Montserrat to finish their education.
Okay.
Okay, and so forth. But when Dia came back, I mean, apprenticeship to become a tailor.
Yes.
But the strong will and person he is, he found out that wasn't his calling, that wasn't for him. And so, graduate with the certificate in primary education, he then started to teach. But I want to go back a little step further. Imagine when they had the first hurricane that came through,
Yes.
he was only 6, 7 years old. And after, it was on Christmas. And after he and his aunt Beryl left the festivities right in Charleston on the way home, and on the way back to the home in Bad Village, this hurricane came through. And it was so bad that his aunt Beryl wanted him to stay wanted him to drop off by some neighbors and also a friend who was with them at the time. But he was determined that he's not going to stop. He's going to want to be with his father and mother.
Yes.
And the friend ended up staying there by the house of her relatives. And reluctantly, the aunt went on with him. And the following day, now they find out that all the occupant in that house where they almost stayed was killed. The house was demolished in the hurricane.
Wow.
You understand?
Interesting.
Wow.
So I don't know if that inspired him somewhat, but I'm saying he was determined and he was strong-willed.
And destined to be.
And it was his destiny.
Destined to be, yes.
Destiny. You cannot stop destiny. And he was disdained for greatness. And like I said, after he finished, started teaching primary school, was at the Bound Pastor Primary School, and the inspector of primary school in Leeward saw his potential and suggested to him that he goes to Dominica.
Dominica, right?
And then he went there, and that's where he did his tenure down there, teaching at the Rosa Boys School and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And see, and he was well traveled, and everywhere he went, he left his mark. And when he came back, I mean, because he also took a course in accounting, and of which from American University, and like I said, he was a pioneer because after that he applied for a civil servant job at the time which he required to have an O-level certification. So when he applied, he was refused, and he took it upon himself to make a case for himself to England. He won his case, and he became the first black civil servant in the Federation and probably within the Leeward Island. I haven't researched that farther yet, but it was a milestone indeed. Mm-hmm. You understand? And he was from one position to another, and so from church, and he was well-rounded because he traveled. Not from there, he went on to Antigua, where he did his tenure there, and he was promoted to auditor. And while there as an auditor, he had to any complaint from the overseers or the people from the larger state of the workers or the former slaves, would come to him, and he would have to normally what would be the outcome, they would have to go to jail. But he found that system was too harsh on his people, and he challenged the system. And he set a case, and he also won. So they didn't have to go to jail because he decided to go to work. And the estates.
So you say that go again?
Yes.
Because I'm listening, but you say that again?
Well, as a layperson, he had to handle cases or complain from the estate owners and so forth in terms of the workers.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyone who decided not to go to work for whatever reason
on the estate,
yes, had to go to see him or the magistrate. Mm-hmm. And once they're found guilty, they would have to go to jail.
To jail for refusing to work. Wow.
So you understand? So he found out that was too harsh, and he changed the system and able to work out something more appropriate for the people
Okay.
at this time.
Okay.
So he thought not only of himself. From then, he was thinking not only of himself, but of others. He represented others.
Always. And he was always conscious.
Yes. Okay, so he
Very conscious.
He was audit clerk in Antigua at the treasury in Antigua, and then he worked in the post office. He went to Tortola.
Yes.
Wow, while he traveled.
Oh,
Okay.
well, travel. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
As a treasurer
Yes.
as well. But going back to Antigua, I think another highlight of his career and his defense against the establishment and racism, it was that the great Sir Luther Winter, great physician, well-renowned physician of Antigua. The establishment at the time needed a good physician at the time. So they applied, and they got a response from this great man he was staying in Canada at the time. So here now they had this big entourage going to meet this fine gentleman coming from Canada. But they thought he was white. When they realized he was a black man, they abandoned him. They just left him there.
Wow.
So the person who was in charge of the ship at the time, the captain, knew of Dr. D.R. Walwyn and called him. And he was able to accommodate this fine gentleman and make him feel at home.
No.
But it just so happened that, like I said, when you disdain for greatness, nothing can stop it.
Yes.
Because I can't recall one of the person who was well known at the time, also an estate owner. I can't recall his name at this time. I might check my notes, but what happened, his daughters came down with an illness, and no other physician or doctor could help. And they recommended this Dr. Sir Luther Winter, and the other doctors couldn't do nothing. So they had no choice but to give him the opportunity to try. And he did his magic on these three daughters of this gentleman, and after that, this gentleman made him his own personal physician,
Okay.
and the rest was history in terms of what this great man were able to do. You understand?
But they say, dog, say, what for you, for you?
What for you, for you?
What for you, for you? Nobody can take it away from you.
Yes.
Yes.
He held the position of postmaster.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
As well.
Okay, quite a bit.
Okay, let me see if I may greet a couple more people. I want to say a special morning greeting to a dear sister of ours, Chesley, Agnola Hendrickson. The note here says Agnola Hendrickson is watching. Good morning, dear Nola. Good to have you in class this morning. I'm seeing Amity Stanley is in as well, saying good morning all. Happy birthday to Jan and Janice. Good morning to Ren. Piola Hanley saying happy birthday to Avril Elliott and Jemoy Weeks as well. Blessed birthday to you fine ladies. Avril is a dear colleague of mine, and Jemoy Weeks is at least I was there as a member of staff at Gingerland Secondary School when she passed through, so we have a connection. And Joya Archibald Waters is watching. Good morning, Joya. Good to have you in class as usual.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, D.R. Walwyn would have been moving up the ranks and files gradually, and then, but eventually he retired from the public service because he had bigger interests, right? What? Yes.
I don't really
Yes.
bigger.
Go ahead.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Because back in growing up, like I said, he's a stalwart for the people. I think I was concerned about the people, but I think in 1953,
He retired from
from the civil service, and he saw the need for the people to have a bank,
Right.
because during that time, up until that time, the only black people that were allowed in that bank was either maids to clean or the messengers.
Yes.
And they wouldn't allow the black people to deposit, much less get a loan,
Right.
and so forth. So he and a few other gentlemen, I still have to do the research so they all can get the credit. Most of them that was retired studied need, and they got together and formed what became the Nevis Cooperative Bank.
Yes. I wanted to speak Laughton too. What happened? You're talking about black people not being able to deposit money at that time, though. So what would they have done with their money?
Listen,
Because I think we need to know that.
they used to, because
Yes.
in crab holes,
Yes.
hide the money in crab or something, what happened in crab hole when the tide comes, it would drop away. Some people in tin cans,
Yes.
yeah, or in their mattress,
Yeah. Yes.
you understand? Or someplace in the someplace in the yard,
Yes.
and sometimes they would even forget and so forth. But that's the extreme that our people had to go through to save their money.
Right.
You understand? And after seeing the suffering, decided to get the bank going,
Yes.
which was an excellent idea. And so,
Born out of love. And so that love for people in his heart was growing more and more.
yes.
More and more. Yes.
But besides that, he also had a love for knowledge.
Yes.
Really, knowledge is power. That was one of his mantra to his children. Knowledge. And he sees that through knowledge you get opportunity, because also when he advanced himself with the American course, which took accounting and so forth, he was able to move up the ranks and be able to help his people as well.
Yes.
You understand? But he just have a love for his people, and he also, which I found from his granddaughter, Jackie, who's an attorney in Antigua, and we lived there with her father, Desmond, who's also he's a retired eye specialist.
Eye doctor?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we know him.
Doctor, somebody always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, many persons would have benefited from the services of the Nevis Cooperative Bank. So we want you to weigh in on the discussion, of course, make a
Indeed.
contribution.
Okay.
And Shefton, if you can remind them of the numbers.
I think one person has indicated they are ready.
Yes.
Okay, yes, before I speak to that, I will say to you that remember you can be a part of the conversation. You can call us at 669-7312. You can call us straight there, or you can call us on WhatsApp. That's our WhatsApp number as well. You can also find out, if you prefer, digit 766-7312. Or you can call, if you have a fixed line number and you want to prefer to use that, 469-7953. And for those of you in the diaspora, our magic check number, 1-917-460-2187. So there are multiple ways in which you can have your say on this discussion this morning. So do give us a call. Do give us a call and lend your support to the discussion. I see here it says, Paula Wallace, a very dear friend of mine. Say Paula U. Wallace is watching. Good morning, Paula. Good. Nice having you as usual. And then Iona Dore says, Cooperative Bank was my first bank, thanks to my parents.
Yes, wow.
Yes. Yes. And I know because, if I remember, when my mother would have started an account for any of her children, it would have been at Cooperative Bank back then.
Yes.
Interestingly, I have never done business with them for myself. When I came along and I was opening an account, I went to National Bank, and then but then
In their
yes,
time.
back in that time, that was the bank for local people. But it's interesting. Now, Laughton is reminding us that back then, our locals didn't have the pleasure of that opportunity to have a savings at the bank.
Exactly.
They were not allowed. And so they had to hide their money in all kind of fashion, store it at home. but the interesting thing, and it might sound like a bit interesting, so, but the interesting thing when I observe how things are going, sometimes you get the feeling that you might soon have to go back and hold your money under your mattress, because
Yes.
it is so difficult to do business today. You
Yes.
go into the bank, to put
Yes.
your money, and it's a whole heap of trouble.
Yes.
To get money from there is a whole heap of trouble, and it looks like now they don't even want you in the banks them, because I mean more and more they are telling you to use the machine outside, and not everybody
Yes.
prefer to go that route.
Exactly.
Some people like the face-to-face and the one-on-one
Yes.
interaction.
Right.
But
So-
it like they're driving you out. You're going
Exactly.
soon got to go get a mile and go put your money in again.
Yes, well, I must say that there are a few banks that have a kind of people-friendly attitude.
Yes.
People, love to bank with them because, they make you feel like you're in a partnership. And there is a difficulty that some people have. Sometimes you go to the bank, okay, your service is going to benefit them. Their service is going to benefit you. But sometimes they make it look as if they are granting you a favor. And I think this is what sometimes people feel, resentful about.
Yes, yes.
You don't
Yes.
feel that warm welcome when you go
Yes.
to some of them.
Exactly.
It feels as if, well, what you come bother us for?
Because you're really investing in their business in order for them to grow.
And well,
Yes,
I had
yes.
a conversation with somebody just this week, and I was recounting an experience that someone shared with me some years back, and how they had some financial constraints and so on, and they had some obligations to make, and they approached one of our banks, and the individual was saying thank God for that person who was in charge of that institution at the time, because they worked with and it goes like it, thank God for that individual who worked with me, and because of that I was able to get my business sorted out and get back on track. I suspect that if the individual didn't have that accommodation, they might have ended up maybe without a roof over their head and so on.
Yes.
But they were able to praise God, they were able to keep stay afloat because of that individual from the bank. And I spoke to a friend of mine recently who said, well, that bank seemed to have that seemed to be the trademark of operating, because that was a few years ago I spoke to somebody, and then this other individual was saying to me that just this week they had a conversation with that bank. Recently, over the last few months, they went through a kind of a rough spot, and the bank was very accommodating in terms of helping them to organize things. And then now that they are kind of past the rough patch, they went back and to the bank to regularize things again, and then they were being given options of how to make it most comfortable for you. So and you say, well, it seems as if that is a hallmark of this bank, and that is the kind of testimony
Yes,
that
yes.
our financial institution would want from their customers, don't you think?
Yes,
Good
yes,
customer
yes.
service.
Okay,
Yes,
let's
yes.
take a couple more comments. Andrea says, my first account, thanks to my grandmother, still have it. I am so happy. Agnola says, Cooperative Bank was my first real job out of high school. Okay, excellent. And that was a while back. Agnola and Agnola came out of high school together. So she's saying that is the first place she found employment. Ron Daniel is with us. Good morning, Ron. Good to have you. Iona says, banking ain't sweet now. Too much run around to open an account. Oh, yes, dear. Too much run around indeed.
Yes.
And then I know of one or two persons in some banks. I mean, there are some parents who are mindful to start with a little account for their children, and so when they're underage and so on, when they reach to the age, they have problems.
Yes.
They have problems because then you might be fresh out of school, you might turn 18, so now you can sign on your account independently, but you may not have a job yet.
Exactly.
But you have problem with that to be able to keep that bank, because we must add that that is not just because of the policies of the local institution. That is because of the global pressures that are being brought to be on financial institutions.
But the lending institution needs to take the time out to teach the young ones coming in good customer service skills.
Yes. Oh yes.
And that's
You
the
want
problem in a lot of business establishment. They don't have that good
that is
customer
true. That is
skills.
And you have used the correct word, customer service.
And customers are always right. And you have to,
Yes.
we gotta go the way.
But whenever you come into the institution, you must be able to feel the warmth of that welcome.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
You may figure to fake it till you make it. You understand?
Exactly.
They have to be.
Exactly.
Right. And that's
Yes.
what cooperative bank brought to the people, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that love. Okay, but the bank began on Main Street, Charlestown. Okay, we exactly
It started it. Let me check my notes quickly. It started in a house.
You said in a rented space on Main Street,
Main Street,
Charlestown.
that's correct, that's
In
correct.
1954. Okay.
Yes,
Uh-huh. And the executive chairman was D.R. Walwyn.
that's correct.
Or was D.R. Walwyn.
Yes.
Okay. And he held that position until 1990. Okay. And then at what point did the bank move to Chapel Street, though?
Mm. Let me check. One moment.
Okay.
I don't.
1959 says
I don't-
1959
yes.
it moved to Chapel Street.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. that's
All
correct.
right. And
Okay.
the bank continued to grow. Now, one interesting thing, okay, the bank was helping people. One interesting bit of information that you would have given is that the bank owned a tractor. Okay, speak about that, please.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Because during the time, Nevis was a farming
Community. Yes.
community
Yes,
and so
by and
forth.
large, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, either we sharecropping or whatever. So there was a need, and to rent tractor from the established plantocracies was very difficult and expensive.
Oh, okay.
So he had the vision to see that the
a local man, the small man, the
Yes.
small farmer.
would need to be able to get their land plows so
Very
they can
interesting.
get their crops and so
Yes.
forth, and also be able to pay and whatever, and be able to take
Wow.
care of themselves.
Wow.
So they used to
that was a unique service, but
rent the service out at a
Yes.
very reasonable rate.
yes.
Okay.
That makes me feel good, because it says to me that this gentleman was about the facilitating the upliftment
Exactly.
of the common man.
Exactly.
I mean, that was well, I hope that one of these days when people talk about me, they would be able to say that I did things like those to uplift the common man.
Right.
Huh?
Yes, and but one thing though, we must note. Okay, we talk about sometimes the banks being unfriendly these days, they're harsh, and so on. But I must say that people are becoming very difficult to deal with. Sometimes people don't want to repay. Now, I always feel that if you're going to commit yourself to a loan, you must honor your commitment.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yes.
persons are engaged in too many things, right? And so we can't always say the bank is always wrong. I don't think the bank is always wrong. They always
Tell me,
spend-
sometimes people bite off more than they got
Right.
you.
And
Yes.
one of this, and why the cooperative bank would have succeeded, right? And we must say this about our older folks. Our older folks, they were poor, they were struggling, but they honored their commitment.
Exactly.
Whenever they borrowed from Slack or whoever, all right? I mean, they had no problems getting the items because they know that they're going to honor their commitment.
Yes.
And when they sell a little cotton, or
Yes.
the vegetables and so on, they sell the cow and the sheep.
Or the punk
They're
stone.
going to, exactly, the pump stone.
Yeah, I did a lot
they
of
are
that.
going to
I did a
honor
lot
their
of that.
commitment.
Me too.
Yes.
So we are celebrating values of our folks in that era, really. And the bank would have succeeded because, our people had integrity.
Yeah.
They had
Okay.
integrity, yes.
After speaking to Miss Jeffers, which is, I was able to speak to her, Mr. Walwyn,
Yes.
D.R. Walwyn, and his son Eugene as well. She was assistant to both of them. Where the local people mostly is the one that kept that bank going, because the bank were able to lend people to go away to improve themselves as well and build themselves. But
Yes.
some paid back, but
Yeah, as usual.
a lot of them did not pay, which caused the bank to sink. Because she was, Ms. Jeffrey was telling me one time that after auditing this individual who had been outstanding, he would never negate something. At the interest, it's like eventually they must pay. Because he was willing, whether sooner or later these people should pay for their obligation, And so he always was looking forward for these people to come back to or pay for their loan and so forth. But overall, it did help. I mean, that's the most important thing. And it's sad that others did not meet the obligation and pay the bank to keep it going and so forth.
Yes.
But if they want to go back and speak about his tenure, because he was in civil servant in Antigua from 1930 until 1937. And he was only in Tortola for like 9 months. But while he was there, he served in multiple roles. He was a treasurer, postmaster, and also a magistrate as well.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Well,
so and then in 1937, he then became a treasurer in the Federation in St. Kitts, and so forth. But he was well-rounded. I'm saying it was the knowledge he gained from traveling abroad. So, I mean, everyone in the Leeward, that's, more or less, can appreciate what he have done.
yes. Okay, very good. All right. And so, well, Mr. Walwyn, he was involved in other business
Yes.
activities.
He
yes,
also,
go ahead.
I also found out that he was also in the copra industry, which was Nevis Ota, which made essential oils and stuff, and which is now, I'm saying, you see, he was ahead of his time. Now this essential oil is big right now.
Indeed.
Big indeed. So he was a man of vision, you understand? And so and now I was just, as a farmer as well, they were just having this course and learn how to get to your coconut oil and so to a certain specification and so forth about the coconut industry and whatnot. But this man was way ahead of his time. He had vision.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Sometimes people think that because you own a bank, they think that you have a lot of money. But it is noted that the bank was not really a big profit-making thing for him, and so he did other things to supplement his income.
Yes, because he was also,
Yes.
did crops, he and his wife did crops raised crops at home
Yes.
until she passed away in 1971, So he always put his hand to the soil as well. Yeah. So
And did accounting work for
other people,
companies
and
yes.
stuff like that. Yes.
Yes. I think Shefton, Shefton.
Yeah, just
Yes.
just let me take some comments first. Iona says, Iona says, yes, customer service is lacking badly in SKN. It's terrible. Iona says to you, he says, that's true, Mr. Manners. In modern times, people don't live up to their commitments to the banks. And in other cases, and I see a Tina Foster is in. Good morning, Tina, and she's calling out Nadia Kelly, a very dear friend of ours, is on the as well, Chesley, Cordell Walters. Good morning, Cordell. Good to have you.
All right,
Good to have you in the mix. It's Cordell Walters is watching. Yes, but did the cooperative bank at some point have a Dominican connection?
No, not really. What happened was that the same business,
The Copra?
the copra,
Uh-huh.
was sold to
Dominica.
Dominican
Yes.
company.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I seem to remember that. Because I don't know. I seem to think I remember that. That having heard that, I think they used to do. There was a time they used to do some extraction of the same copra here before they were sending it to Dominica. And then I remember later on, maybe in the late 90s, might have been in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. An attempt was made to revive that because over at New River they were doing some extraction of coconut oil there for a little, but it didn't last. It didn't last for a long time. It didn't last for a long time. But then it is quite interesting. It is quite interesting to hear about Dr. Walwyn and the kind of visionary he was. And it is, and sometimes, I guess sometimes what happens is that you have an idea, you sow a seed or anything, but then sometimes if you are not there to carry it through for the long haul, sometimes you don't have other persons who share the same vision to keep it going and help it to go. Because like I say, coconut oil is a big thing now. And mark you, there was a time when they started to tell us how bad coconut was for us. And then they make a big turnaround,
Yes,
and it became the best thing for us again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good thing. I'm
Well,
proud
we
to
never
say.
stop using it anyway.
I'm
Yes.
proud to say I never stopped using it. I never stopped using it up to recently. This past week, one of my nieces was laughing at me. Say, people still eat coconut. I said, what, of course? Yeah, people still eat coconut. Because I said, yes, of course. And they say a piece of coconut and better not piece of coconut early in the morning to help to cleanse down the stomach.
Yes.
You all that fiber. You know. So we have been onto good things here.
Yes.
We have been, and we have had some visionary leaders among us,
Yes.
Whom we should try to emulate.
Exactly.
All right. And note, you know, this part about Mr. Walwyn, right? He was very much involved in the community.
Civil, that's right. Yes.
Okay, doing
yes.
voluntary service. You want to speak to his this aspect of his life, Lofton?
Yes, well, like I said, he was involved in the Division Society.
Yes.
He also participated in the Lions Club,
Lions,
and
yes.
the Red Cross.
Red Cross, yes.
You understand? Also, a member of Charleston Methodist Church, and also
And the
of the
board-
boys and the board of the Charleston
Secondary
School as well.
Yes.
So you know he was every
yes.
aspect
Of
of
community
life he
life.
tried to give back to the community. He did.
Excellent.
Yes. He was honored by the University of the West Indies. You want to speak to that honor that
Yes,
he got
he was given the honorary doctorate degree by the University of West Indies Capel campus, and it was in 1991.
there? Yes.
And his son, Alpha, the known physicist, who also tenured at UB, was the one that received on his behalf and so forth.
And then he got a special honor here in Nevis. We honored him in Charlestown. And I remember, Shefton, we might have been in school. I think we had to come to the ceremony. I can't recall if we came in uniform, but we were very proud as youngsters to see one of our stalwarts being honored by ourselves. Yes.
But listen,
Yes.
to find out information of that date, is the hardest thing to find. Yeah? I tried the historical societies, the archives. They didn't have, all they had was basically that in the 80s.
That's not good enough. at all.
1980s.
That's not good enough.
Then again, the same before they published, there was a gentleman that worked in the Treasury. He said he remembered because when he was in secondary school, he was a member of the choir. He sang. So I asked him, "Do you remember what year he was in the choir?" So he told me it was between 82 and 85. And then after I went to see Miss Jeffers, hoping she would have that information, but she said she didn't quite remember. Then after I was about to give up, I just happened to mention it to the attorney Jacqueline Walwyn.
Yes.
She came up with a date. So the family had that information. I was so happy to hear that. And he was so honored on his 90th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
His 90th,
Wow.
which is also a milestone. You understand? I mean, in November 27, 1990, at the age of 90.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we now have the DR Walwyn Plaza. But what I find is lacking there, though, is that there should have been something more about him. Just some more outstanding points about Mr. Walwyn.
Yes.
In that day, just a little thing. Just
Yes, they should have,
Yes.
Maybe a picture.
and
yes.
that also should be in our museum as well.
Yes.
Okay? The highlight of his achievement and what I've done, but I'm going to work towards that because I'm not going to let it rest on it like that.
A number of things that we have to work on. Sometimes we hear of a name like the Nelson Museum. I don't have any problem with that, but why are we going to get a whole museum and call it the Nelson Museum? Things that we need to work on. A lot of things that we need to work on. Right?
We need to memorialize our institution or whatever with our people, the indigenous people.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
because yes, we have the Nelson Museum. And I think sometimes we hear of the Alexander Hamilton Museum. But I think that same one is the one. And I think there was some discussion, because I was on the board for a while, some years back. And there was some discussion about some restructuring and so on. And I know one of the names that, I think it's the same one down here that we had referred to as the Museum of Nevis History. Because what they, apart from having a display, apart from having somewhat of a display dedicated to Alexander Hamilton, and I think there was a display in relation to Nelson. I want to think it was moved on at some point. I'm not certain, because I think up on Bath Plain wasn't in operation for a little while. I passed sometime this week and I saw it open, so I don't know what is going on there. But I was saying that down here sometimes we would refer to it as it would have been referred to as the Museum of Nevis History, because there was an effort. The effort is not exhaustive. There's still much to be done, but there was an effort to have on display some artifacts relating to the culture, the history, and the history of Nevis and so on, to show our development over time, and so yes, persons like that who would have made such valuable contribution, they should not die indeed. They have left this life, but I mean, we should be able to find information about them almost at our fingertip when it becomes necessary.
And Lofton, you indicated that you are now becoming a part of the Nevis Historical and Conservation
It only
Society.
costs $60 to join. I'm going to make sure I join, because I went to last month. They started the film festival, and they were showing pictures and so forth of what it used to be and whatever and so forth, and you could count the number of local people
who were there
on one hand.
Yes.
I think there was less than 5 of us.
Yes. Sometimes what I find, though, there's a lack of interest on our part in ourselves. We don't have enough interest in ourselves. Sometimes we have the interest confused. We're more interested in others than ourselves.
Of course.
But we have to get it right.
We must get it right.
We have to get it right.
We got to set the example for our youngsters. If we don't have no interest, how we expect the other generation coming after us to have interest and so forth?
Yes.
Huh? How they going to have something to look forward if we don't put nothing in there? You understand?
Right.
So,
okay. All right. Well, we have to share the time between these two icons.
Yes, of course.
So we're going to have to take the boat soon and go over to dress ups. All right. Very soon.
Okay, let's take a couple more comments. If I see, okay, you know, say I love coconut. It's my best snacks right now. Jesse Taylor is saying, good morning, family. Good morning. He says, good morning, cousin Elvis. Okay. Okay, Tommy is still there. I want to say, it's a long time we prefer foreigners more than our own. Which is sad. That is manifested in so many ways, but it is sad. Jam Fob says, for real, customer service in the Federation sucks, and I'm speaking from a very bad experience when I came home. But yet, when the white people shows up, they get utmost respect. So it therefore means that if courtesy and smiles could be given to some, then it should be given to all. Boy, the thing will eat me out.
Yes. It happens.
I hear you. I feel you, Jam Forbes.
It
I
happens
feel
now
you.
again. It happens now and again. But
yes, I think we are on the improve.
And there are many, right?
We are on the up
There are
and
some
up.
who don't give good customer service, but there are some who give it.
yes, there's some.
There are some who give it.
And we have to
And we must
praise,
give-
yes,
and give them credit for
credit
what
for
they are
that.
doing.
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And there are some employers who are stickler for it as well. They stick for it because you have a bad experience and you make it known to whoever is in charge. I mean, invariably efforts are made to
Yes,
appease the customer.
Yes,
That's
yes.
correct.
Okay, definitely. All right, so you have given us quite a bit of information on the Walwyn. We are hoping that research that you would have done, would make its way into our archives, so that we would know more about him. We must be able to say the exact date when he was honored.
Yes,
He
but-
got honored, yes.
But what I did do, because it took me, when I first asked the question,
Do you call her? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it took.
Yes.
Good.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Yes.
I think, well, I know the museum that you're speaking about started in Morning Star by Robert Abrahams
In
family,
Nelson's
the
Museum,
Abrahams
yes.
family.
Yes, in Nelson's Museum.
And it was named the Nelson Museum. But once he got to retirement age and he decided he's going to give it up to the Nevis Historical Conservation Society, I think they decided to name it the Museum of Nevis History. That is what I know, the last connotation that I have. I think that has been corrected. Some people still languish with the Nelson's Museum, but the correct name or the present name is the Museum of Nevis History when
Well-
it moved to Bellevue.
No. There was still some separation in names. I think the Museum of Nevis History was that name used to be ascribed to the one down here we call Alexander Hamilton Museum. That's down by Lost Street area. Over there was still for some time still the Nelson Museum. But like I said, in terms of what you are saying, I think you may be onto something because there was some talk about the renaming and in terms of the purpose that each one serves, so to speak. I don't know if anything it was made official at any time. But there was a discussion.
We
There was a
kind of
discussion.
lag behind. We
Yes.
kind of lag behind when doing things like that. But I almost believe that museum was renamed. The Nelson's Museum was renamed the Museum of Nevis History.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your input. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes, getting back to us. The young lady shared with me the information they had in the museum. So after I received the information with the correct date, I did call her back and asked her to make sure she make the amendment or the change and so forth. So I'll go back sometime next week and see if it has been done. Okay? So we should never forget. I should have to look around to find out the date when we did honor one of our brightest stars.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go up to dress ups now. We're gonna take the boat.
Yes, we got to take the boat.
We're gonna take the boat.
Yes.
I can see you had a fun time with Mr. Tyson.
Oh man.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
let's there's a question here which I want you to answer before you go. Which I think I know the answer. I think DR was his father, Evan. Evan Jeffers is, he's asking, what's the connection with the late Ira Walwyn? My mom was a Walwyn. One family member is putting the family tree together. Good info.
He was, I think, the eldest son.
Ira was the son of Daniel R. Walwyn.
That's correct.
Yes,
That's
and Ira is the one who was
over by. He was the
left.
oldest. He was the oldest one. The eldest.
and he lived. He was the one who remained over there.
And in the family house. Yes.
Yes. Even though the car is still in the garage, I wonder if it ever, every time I pass, I say, but nobody in there for quite some time. But the car is still in the garage. The car is still in the garage. Okay, Judy Prentice is here. Good morning, Judy. Oh, okay. Yes. And Judy says to Jetty Taylor, good morning, good morning, cousin. Piola is watching. Okay, Sagadan is there. Sagadan is sending greetings. Greetings to you, Sagadan. Good to have you as always. Yes.
Okay.
So now we head to Jessups.
Right. So Mr. Carlton Tyson. Now, in your article that you would have published, you have a very interesting introduction to Mr. Tyson, and I really like it. Imposing in stature, 6 feet 6 inches to be precise. Carlton Tyson, affectionately referred to as Cap and Biggs, is truly a remarkable individual, a giant of a man in many ways. Very pointed, yes. Okay, all right. So then let's speak then to Mr. Tyson. His early days. What was his early interest though? We know he became a fisherman, but
Listen,
yes.
his father was a fisherman as well. I don't have my notes with me because I got the time mixed up and whatever. And he passed away. He was killed during a storm.
The father?
Yes, he was drowned.
Yes.
What happened, he had his own boat, but his brother had a bigger boat, and he went to St. Bart's, I guess, to have some fish or whatever, and he got a squall or whatever, but the boat ended up sinking, turning over, and he lost his life. And because of that, his mother had a profound fear of the sea, and she never wanted him to become a fisherman. But he had a passion for the sea. He and his older brother, Desmond, you know, and it was, as youngsters, I mean, they built the first boat out of the trunk of a banana tree. Yeah?
Yes.
That was their first boat. I mean, that's how much they really want to get into the sea. And it was under the apprenticeship of Mr. Brandy, who happened to be his godfather at the time, that his mother allowed him to end up going fishing with. But up until that time, there was a lot of hunger because after his father had passed, even his uncle, he was given the boat, I guess it's a fair exchange, not robbery. Well, he took the boat that his father had because he lost his boat. But the sad thing about it, he did not look out for his his family, his nephews and nieces, his sister-in-law.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she would come out rich for fish. He would never give her fish, any fish, to help. It's through the generosity of Mr. Brandy, they were able to get something to eat sometime. And it's like I said, it was a lot of rough time for him. It was a lot of hungry belly. He said something was so rough that water had to come out here. He had to bath.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
But he had. But in those days, fishing was plentiful.
Yes.
There were a lot of fish. And he told me fish was only $1 a pound.
Yes. You had related an incident though with the cassava. Things were so bad.
Yes.
Yes.
I think, yes. She said the only thing they had to eat was they had harvested some cassava. And they made what they call cassava musa.
Okay.
And because of the stage, it was not, cured properly, they all end up with diarrhea.
Oh.
You understand? And the mother now, she had to take care, clean up after everybody because we have diarrhea in the house. We just with no toilet, whatever. I mean, you could imagine the state of the place with people. Having diarrhea coming all over the place and so forth and whatnot. I mean, it was sad, but his mother. I do admire any man that really loved the mother because I think God, the greatest gift to humanity is the black woman. You understand? And who not supposed to be behind any man, but to be served. Should be have the pleasure to have a woman next to us in so regard because they have been the backbone for us in so many ways. And when you have someone have an affection for their mother, it does my heart glad. He used to say that sometimes things was so rough, the mother would make sure everybody got food, a little thing to eat.
Yes.
But he would sacrifice his own and feed his mother, one spoonful for him and one spoon for his mother, and so forth.
Wow.
Huh?
Affection.
Very affection. He said,
affection.
and the same day when his mother died, another thing I remember, he said, he went out to fish, but all he catch was one girl. And he fixed it, prepared it, and make some pancake, and he make sure his mother had a very good meal.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Excellent.
Yes.
Just let me share this number again. Somebody's asking for the WhatsApp number. Our WhatsApp number is 1-869-669-7312. That's 669-7312. That's the WhatsApp number.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now you said Mr. Tyson talk about how fish was plentiful back then. And he related an incident, for example, when about 6 fish pots, and after pulling 3 of them, boat was full.
Already full.
I mean, quite the opposite of what happened now.
Nowadays.
That's correct.
I guess overfishing and so on.
Yes,
Maybe.
yes.
Okay. And so his mother eventually didn't like the idea of going to the sea, but it eventually gave consent.
Yes.
Okay, and so he and his brother would have gone to the sea. I think he went to the sea around age 17.
Yeah,
Would have
age 17.
Okay. All right,
But-
then. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Because most of the, like I said, fish was so plentiful back there in those days. They had to go to sinks to sell the fish. And back them days, you were privileged to have the sea. So you can imagine
Wow.
the amount of
Well, I mean,
oaring
yes.
to go to sink it.
Yes.
So when you say to get a break, what they should do is on the way down, they go south and have some fish spot to take a break, and then continue the journey until they get to Sinkers.
Yes.
And after they get rid of the fish, on the way up, they will repeat the process. Go south, come north, because opposite direction coming up, pull some more fish spot to cool off. Yeah. So there's so much of gall in the hand, and so they had to cool off and everything else.
Wow.
But it was real rough.
Hard work, eh?
And for 1 cent a pound.
1 cent a pound.
1 cent a pound. Imagine that. What is this? Okay.
1 cent.
Yes.
Pound.
No, he had a very interesting experience after one of the hurricanes with some conchs. Can you speak to that?
Yes, but
Yes.
that was too late. It was a difficult time understanding a lot of stuff because of, where he's situated and where his house is, and a lot of traffic and noise and whatever.
Okay.
So you could imagine me right up almost in his mouth trying to get everything and so forth. But he said that one of his biggest success was after this hurricane came through. It was so devastating that it brought up all the conchs from the bottom. And they knocked out all the conchs out the shell. You understand? And the shell and the conch shell was clean. I know back in the days nobody had no value for no conch shell and so forth. But he said one of his customers who also did business in Miami, Florida, he came up to get some fish or lobster, whatever. And by the way, he did business throughout the Caribbean. He took chances with people in St. Martin, Antigua, the Virgin Islands, Miami, and so forth. He took chances with people with his product. But getting back to this now, he said there was so much a conch, it was higher than your house roof. I mean, it was real high. So when the gentleman showed interest in them, he said he don't like working with people. That's why he just stick to part fishing. He don't like pulling seine because too much of people, too much of confusion, and especially when they start to drink. Eh?
Okay.
I said, working alone too, ain't gonna buy to envy or jealous you, okay? And so wherever you work is yours. So after the gentleman took interest in this conch shell, he said he alone prepared, get them up, load them on the boat. Over 40,000. I mean, it was quite a bit.
4,000.
4,000.
4,000, you said, yeah.
Yes, and he was able to make it like $40,000 from that. And that was something outstanding. You understand? And another thing too, which I find was fascinating too, when he told me the story about how he started, when he want to tell his mother that he's going to have a shop, he want to start a shop. Huh? He said the mother them laugh after. He said, the boy, money people who got shop, basically.
Poor people like a shop.
Yeah. No. So he said, but he was determined. And this was at the age of 20. You understand? And he said he eventually get his first shop. But
Yes. Okay. This call?
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good day.
Good
morning.
Morning.
Hey, listen, I just like to make a little input because I've had some experience with Mr. Tyson. I remember him having aircrafts coming from St. Thomas, from St. Bart's, from Guadeloupe, and I would pick up the pilots and take them in to meet him and his brother because they used to work together. From up just above the high school.
Okay, yes, I remember they had
up
the
at
cold
Debbie's
storage thing up
Disco.
there. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and
yes.
up at Debbie's Disco, they had some freezer.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I think Jessups we used to pick up stuff and go back and load up them planes. We used to also have boats coming in here from Guadeloupe and St. Lawrence. I mean, this gentleman had an industry going
Yes.
where they
Definitely.
sell anything from fish, conch, lobster, by the plane load.
Uh-huh.
That's
I
right.
remember there was a Dominican guy who owned his own, I think he owned his own plane. And I remember standing and looking to see when that plane coming because that plane is like the belly used to drag on the ground.
Yes,
It's
yes.
called Aero Commander.
Good to know.
Clint
Yes.
Aero. And they normally come into the Tysons and every week that was a stable.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a stable. And Mr. Tyson not only used to sell his conch, he used to sell
Other-
For others.
other people,
Okay,
other
great,
fishermen,
great.
product or buy the product from the fishermen. And I mean, this is a businessman.
Indeed.
This is a
Indeed.
businessman.
Indeed.
All right.
All right, thank you very
Thanks
much,
for
caller.
the
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
You know, and then but you indicated that he would have commented that he didn't even have $5 to his name
Yes.
when he started.
When he
eh?
started.
So that's why he would have been laughing. Boy, are people who got money.
But he had vision. You understand?
Yes.
He had $5 in his name, but he was determined.
Yes.
Huh?
Okay.
I said, when you have a will, there's a way. You don't know where it comes from, but
Yes.
once you persevere, you understand, and work towards the creator or God, whatever you want to call him, whatever name you want to call him by, but I'm saying, and that will inside
Yes.
make things happen.
Right. And blessings come to you.
Yes.
You know, when you do good, blessings come to you.
And that's a
But
good.
of course.
All those shells, that it's like a mystery. It's like magic,
But
right?
not even that. But he was a person. See, a lot of times what people do because of bad experience they have had. You understand? Instead, they learn from that bad experience and try to avoid it. Like, for example, like the fact that his uncle did not give up fish. I mean, any person that asked, he said he gave willingly. He
right.
didn't look for nothing in return. You understand? So the more he gave, I mean, he have so much people that he cannot recall how many people. And sometimes nowadays he received the benefit.
Yes.
He said, because people will remind him, and he said no to people because he didn't watch any face. He just gave from his heart. And he remember where he came from. You understand? And whatnot. But getting back to the story about the shop, he said the shop was so small that he had his brother-in-law build him one of them ice back at that time, right? But he couldn't fit in the shop. He had to put a lock on outside.
Oh, what is this?
And he said 3 people couldn't hold inside the shop.
Oh.
Okay? And that shop now, which is the Culturama bar,
yes.
has been there since that time, over 60-something years.
Yes.
Which happened to be the same year he got married as well.
Exactly.
You understand? I'm saying, and this man was so much a visionary. Like I said, the gentleman has shared some information in terms about the volume of people, not just boats and ships and plane coming in for the products of these 2 gentlemen and so on whatnot.
Yes.
You know? But he made, nothing was too good for him to give away to the needy people on his time.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, good,
two more comments from Jetty Taylor. I wonder if I'm missing some of the comments. Jetty Taylor said, he said, and just this is a correction for you, he said, not 1 cent. Halfpenny.
Help me.
Like you say.
A penny help me.
Yes, you have that right. Yes.
Yes.
Help me.
And she also said that Boone used to come up. Boone used to come, and Boone was a A pilot.
He had perished, right?
Yeah.
He had perished in the helicopter. Was it a small plane or helicopter?
A plane, I think. it was.
Helicopter?
Plane.
A plane?
Helicopter, I think
A
it was
small plane?
Yeah.
Yes.
He used to come for
From Puerto Rico, for
yeah,
lobster and
lobster
so on.
and so on. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember in primary school we went to the site where the crash was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay. All right, okay, all right. Now, Mr. Tyson, you know, you said he gave generously, right? Okay, we know he had other children.
Yes, you see?
Did his generosity,
Listen up. His generosity, listen,
yes.
I mean, back in the days, when you got a kind heart or whatever, I mean, women come out,
People show themselves.
show themselves at you understand? I'm saying, and would even give themselves freedom, whatever, and so forth. And I'm saying, he,
Another call.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, yeah. Stick up in there.
Okay.
Hold a point there until. Yes.
Okay, good morning again.
Hello, good morning again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Morning.
listen, a little correction. The Boone, the pilot Boone that perished on Sunday afternoon at Newcastle Airport didn't come from Puerto Rico. He was the manager of Nisbet Plantation.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
He was the manager of Nisbet Plantation. He used to land that plane in between the coconut trees, going up the fairway, going up to the building.
Oh.
And he used to take off right there and go to St. Bart's, pick up the liquor for the hotel, and come back and land him right between there.
Okay.
Such was his state of life at that time.
Yes. Wow.
Anyway, back to Mr. Tyson, right?
Yes.
In the early 80s when we're trying to make life, we go St. Martin to buy vehicles and stuff like that. When you're preparing to go to St. Martin, Mr. Tyson was a source of US. The man had a little bank. That's where we go to get our US, and he's selling it at $250.
Wow.
You know, so there's a help out. You
Exactly.
know,
Yes.
the man help everybody. You know, so when you're gonna go make your trip, you make sure you visit him a couple of weeks before, and he help you out, and you visit him again, and he help you out, and when you get the amount, then you make your move. So we have a lot to be thankful for to the gentleman.
Indeed.
Yes,
Indeed.
definitely.
Indeed.
All right, thank you very much for that information.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thanks.
All right, man.
Yes.
so, I happened to run into his nephew, Alexis. 'Cause he before,
Okay.
I was trying to get a picture, when I was first trying to get a picture of him and Desmond.
Yes.
I didn't have a picture of Desmond, Mr. Desmond Tyson. So he told me how much he admired Alexis. So that's why I got to know Alexis a little better. So Alexis told me one day that he said, "Why, you were such a good-hearted person, and then people just show their appreciation." And he said, and he didn't want them to refuse to make them feel bad or whatever. I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying, you understand?
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
yes,
Understand.
because right now you have so many men out there that just sperm donors, you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he looked after them.
And he said, take care of all of them.
That's the difference. That's the difference. Yes.
He took care of all of them, you understand?
Okay.
So he did with the man there with his responsibility, you know,
Right.
and so forth.
So he shared generously in every
Yes,
way.
I said that's why he was a
Yes.
gentleman
Yes.
in many ways, you understand?
Yes,
And so forth.
And then, you know, sometimes you meet, you know, his children, and they always speak well of him.
Yes,
So that means there's love flowing from that
Yes,
to the children.
yes.
Okay, that's very good.
yes.
All right. Now it's interesting that when he began, he had a few fishing pots,
None,
right? And then when he retired,
107,
107. Wow,
107 fish.
that's amazing. So he's
Okay.
And he used
yes.
to, what also helped, he used to always lease out his boats to the other fishermen to help them and so forth. As
Okay.
well.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about a man with an extra large heart. Okay. Would he have passed on this knowledge, this trait to his children?
Yes, he tried his best and so forth, but he said about all his children and family, the one who strike who reminded him of himself was his nephew Alexis.
Okay.
Okay, so Alexis have given back to the community as well. And right now, because he have two projects he have worked on. He got a bus for the church,
Church of God, yeah.
and he take one of the children and so forth. And he's also working with the troubled youth in his community, teaching them how to make fish pots and so forth.
So he still does fishing, Alexis?
Does Tyson give up fishing and fishing is in their blood.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the point.
You understand?
Yes, yes.
Abba and also
and
and also his brother. Everybody know Kingsley Tyson from Craddock Road.
Yes,
that's
yes,
my good friend as well. I mean fishing.
What he name was one of them. So he had perished there on the beach, you know, Robert story.
Gary.
Gary.
Yes.
Gary.
Yeah, he took over a lot of the same kind of business. He was sending a lot of conchs and lobster.
He used to do cold storage up at Stony Grove too, and he too used to. I get the impression that sometimes he would take the cash from the catch from other fishermen
as well, because I one time I used to do business with him too, because I used to trade seafood in St. Martin. I used to get stuff from him as well.
Okay.
And yes, and you know another business place of the Tyson was Seafood Madness. Yes.
And Sispan.
Well, no, Sispan as well.
Sispan guest house.
Yeah, for Brother Tyson.
Yes.
And also down on the beach, the facility which is now part of the restaurant for
Four Seasons.
For Four Seasons, which Desmond had owned. He started.
That has a number of names.
Yes.
Yeah. Down there and just up beach.
So,
yes.
Okay. When he started, he said he started with a kerosene refrigerator. Can you talk about that a bit?
But yes, because the first refrigerator was made from kerosene, because he said it's not until 1971 that they get current in just up. You understand?
Okay. Yeah, because I understand that because I remember in my young days coming up. Morton, Christy, Hubert Morton, on the top of the hill there, and they used to do a shop, but she had a kerosene fridge. Yes. And sometimes you will see them, they use the funnel and put it in wherever the tube, then showing the oil in the kerosene oil, and that's what was used to operate the fridge.
Okay. In terms of generosity as well, which he may not have mentioned, but which I witnessed for myself, was his other nephew as well. Like I said, Kingsley Thomas. We all know him as Kingsley Tyson, but he go by Thomas. I mean, he is very helpful. He's like a Father Christmas. I know he got so many godchildren. He doesn't know the name, but he gives up to a lot of people and so forth. I mean, and sometimes, right now, if I need fish, I don't have to have the money. He would give me the fish, and when I got a chance to pay him, I would pay him and so forth.
Excellent.
And he give a lot back to the community as well. And so it's in the genes, of the Tyson family, and so forth.
Well, part of his philosophy, as you indicated, Lofton, is along this line. Once you are determined and do good things will come your way. You want to comment on that?
Yes.
Yes.
I said, yes, once you do good and you have a contented heart as well, then a contented spirit, you will come back to you. He also encouraged his children and grandchildren, everyone, to work hard.
Yes.
If you get a job, get a loan from the bank, be responsible and pay back your money.
And stay out of trouble.
Don't take nothing from nobody. If you take anything from people, make sure you give them back or you pay for it. Yes. You understand? But stay out of trouble. No need for all of that. Huh?
Sound advice.
And it's interesting because these two icons that we are looking at, we see they took life in strides,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
There was no dishonesty. Well, that we know,
No.
right? They worked hard for what they wanted.
Exactly.
Okay, and they had determination and they move, each time to a higher level.
That's correct.
Okay, great men, and we sometimes say that sometimes the politicians get all the credit, or too much of the
Too
credit.
much, yes.
Too much of the credit.
I
A lot of
concur.
times.
Yes,
A lot of
and
times.
persons who would have contributed in a bigger way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Listen.
some of the politicians
These
get,
are-
2
these-
terms and they get
When it
And
comes
these,
to
accolades, yes.
these are our national heroes. These should be our national
Listen.
heroes.
Yes,
You understand? These are
When it
candidates
come-
for our national heroes.
Yes.
No.
when it comes to nation building and nation builders, the person who touches the common man most is who make the greatest impact.
yes,
Because you have more of the common man than you have up the hierarchy.
yes.
And-
And I mean the person who touched there at the root, at the foundation, the grassroots of the community,
Yes.
they are who make the biggest impact.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't, sometimes we don't.
Yes.
You overlook them, you bypass them.
But as we look at like the Museum of Navy's history, and names really speak to the heart. Names make a difference, right? If we say Museum of Navy's history, we have to ask ourselves, what would one expect to find here?
Yeah.
What should be in here, right? And so we have, step by step, we really have to be finding ways to get our information out there, to educate ourselves so that our people would know, right? And these are models, they're great models for our youngsters, right?
Of course.
You
Exactly.
meet difficulty and note that they meet difficulty.
Mhm.
Sometimes we meet difficulty and we want to give up.
Well, listen. Listen. I sent I shared something with a young friend of mine. It was yesterday or early this morning? Something that indicate that challenges don't come to defeat you or something like that, but they come to make you stronger.
Yes.
And I mean, I felt so, maybe in a sense, discouraged with by one young student of mine, a driving student, and he has had some struggles. He tried to make some. He driving good enough. He made some attempt to well, if he's listening, he would know what I'm talking about. And maybe one or two other persons close to me who I shared it with, because I'm also disappointed with his response. He has been trying to get the written test done so he can go on the road for the practical. He tried a number of times last year and he was unsuccessful, so he took a break and he started last week he went. And I didn't realize, because when he would have tried the test before, he would have been working. He's a young teacher. And so he would have left school and gone to write the test, the test at the police station. So last week, now school is on vacation. So he went last week, and I guess he went as he was. I think he said he was wearing a short pant and what's that. And you are not allowed. You have to be appropriately dressed. I know a young lady went the other day. Was properly dressed up to a point, but he had on a blouse with short sleeves. Sleeves were too short. And they said, no, you can't come. So she had to call a friend who lives close to Charlestown.
Okay.
Bring a blouse or a jacket, them and let me put
All
on.
right, lucky you have a final friend.
Yes, I think. So he went last week and they turned him back. So he had to go back this week. When he went, they say, well, you're a bit late, come back for the second round. So he said he went back and finished off what he was doing, come back for the second round. Now when he come back, they say, they are not seeing his name on the list. He was registered. I registered him, 4 of them, I think. He didn't call. He said he tried to call me and he went to voicemail, understandable, because at home up Harris's, sometimes the cell phone signal fluctuates. Sometimes you get me, sometimes you don't. Sometimes more often than that you don't get me. Now and again, if you get me, sometimes it's more luck than anything, because the signal is really bad up there. But when by the time he made contact with me in a message, he indicated and said he was so vexed. And he said it was a foolish thing. Wait, no, he said he was dumb. I tell him he's foolish. He tear up a permit. He got so angry. He got so angry,
Yes.
and he tear it up. I said, no, you don't make moves like that. Patience is what it's called. I say, when you reach to that point of feeling frustrated, find somebody to talk to.
Yes.
Because I said to him 31 years ago, because I have my license now for 31 years. 31 years ago, I made 6 attempts on the road to get my license. And I said, it's not because I couldn't drive. But but just that in my book, the examining officer then was a hard task, my son. And to me harder with some than others. He was my cousin, my first cousin, my Uncle Choil. And I mean, he had already indicated that, well, I came to bother come in here and think I can get you easy because if I'm out there with your family, you know. But then I say, we shouldn't have it harder than anybody else. And it was kind of tough. Till I reached a point, I said, well, but I don't think this thing is for me. I said it to himself. He said, no, man, you can't say that. And I went to when I spoke to my cousin, and my cousin and I were living there. He said, and that is another cousin. I said, well, he said, boy, no, give up. You can't give. We don't come so far. You know, and I had time to think about it. And then went back and was, you know. And so, yes, we have to understand, our young people have to understand that the only difference between many of us and some of these stalwarts who stuck it out is just that they stuck it out.
Never give up. Never give up.
The metal they make from is not somewhat different from us, you know. It's not somewhat different from our metal, but they stuck it out. They made difficulties and they came back. They say the man say he name had $5 in his pocket when he started shop. That's why he mother and all laugh at him. Boy, where you go? Oh, you know. But then you have to stop, and sometimes challenges come, but you stand back, take a breath.
So don't take it down.
Yeah.
Can't
Stand
take
back,
it down.
take a breath, relax, and regroup,
he
and
gonna
come again.
Yes, I guess you try to remember the example that you penned there,
Yes.
Laughton. Okay, he said here, and you were quoting Mr. Tyson, you might have a little difficulty now and again, but don't study that. Just keep trying until you get through.
Exactly.
It is
Exactly.
It is also good to have a contented heart and a giving spirit. Wow.
Okay.
Beautiful
And
words.
and we are going good, Chesley.
Yes,
but
beautiful, yes.
my next engagement
Yes,
is
we're gonna-
midday.
Yes, time. Yes, so Lofton, any final words?
But before the final word, just let me take two last comment that I see here. Jetty Taylor says, them Tysons used to pull, saying, okay, yes, up to recent enough. Sometime within the last maybe 2 or 3 years, it wouldn't be last year, because it was pandemic and lockdown. About like 3 years ago, I remember they were pulling CN right in front of us, so, you know.
Yes.
And I mean, that is always an amazing thing. I always love to see that.
Yes.
But,
Yes, that was the, Desmond.
Mhm.
Yes, and his son Kingsley.
Yes.
Kingsley.
He
Okay.
still
Yes,
does.
Kingsley.
He still
yes.
does that.
Yes. Mhm.
But you know, he's the only one. Another thing that is dying is the mending of net.
Yes.
Mhm.
You understand? He does it himself, and that's the next dying pastime. I don't know what's going to happen to net
Well,
repair after he's gone.
We're long gone.
I'm saying
Okay.
that's something the historical side, the culture should appoint this
Invest in
investing
getting
in terms of
some
the
training,
youths,
teaching.
the
Yeah.
trouble youth and so
Yes.
forth.
Yes.
Just like his brother's doing with the younger people, teach them with fish pot and
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
They should be also,
That should be part of it.
yes.
That is a nice idea.
That's something.
That should be part of our
Yes.
curriculum. Okay, let me see. Teresa Brown Paris says, yes, that's my dad, Desmond, and my uncle, Carlton. Okay. Okay, great. And she says, then there's my brother, Babs, who was the lone survivor in a plane crash. Okay. And Jetty Taylor is agreeing with us. Perseverance is what he got. Yeah, don't take it on.
That's it.
Don't take it on. Okay.
Yes. Lofton?
In part, I can attest because I had my ups and downs as well. I've been struggling and coming back here in Nevis because I really started basketball here in the federation back in the days. I could remember Miss Hall as
Janet?
when we used to use the netball
You
court
won the court over
for
yeah.
basketball and so forth. And I established basketball here. We also took the first team to the Leeward Island tournament and so forth. I came back here with the enthusiasm to even get a development league program started here. But spoke to who I need to speak to, but
You went to all kind of stumbles, eh?
yes, it's so much people
kind of
have
blocks,
their own interest, but not for the youth because we go understand. I send dozens of students, children away to school in the Virgin Islands. Tim Duncan is also a protege of mine. I have Cuthbert Victor, who has also played in internationally. He just retired. You understand? I taught from 6 to 8, 9 to 12. and 13 to 15 all up. You understand? I was an Olympian as well,
Wow.
but I did not get to travel because I didn't have my green card yet. When the time I first travel document, I bring my
Passport?
the public green card. You understand? But I was the only high school player to make the Olympic team that day, and that's when you get the opportunity to go to the bigger university at the Pan American Games.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
So I was outstanding student. I outstanding in all four sport because during that time again, the scholarship, even though the top echelon of the graduating student was people from the Caribbean, the scholarship reserved for the top Virgin Islander and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff we have to go through.
Yes.
But again, when the brain drain returned, it's too much of a fight for the people in the establishment. When you come to offer your service to give back to the community, you're not well received.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
people
sometimes.
I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I had wrongful incarceration for marijuana and so forth, and then whatever. But I'm saying people come and they give and they give from their heart.
Yes.
Especially, we have to make way for our community. We have to provide means for our children. I believe that we are all gifted people. Whether we have to find out the strength of our children, whether in
Whatever area.
whatever area, it don't have to be academic. Academic.
Yes, that is
You
true.
understand? And I'm not politically inclined to know government, but I'm seeing what we need is a four-year institution where our children can get whatever trade they want, and they also need a 4-year institution of higher learning, because we cater to everybody else coming here in this market.
Yes.
We should have our own, equivalent of a University of the West Indies, so our children can take advantage of the medical school, you understand, the veterinary school, nursing school, and so we can retain our brain drain right here.
Exactly.
Because when they go abroad, what happens? Most of them come back.
Yes.
Yeah?
Sound words,
Huh?
sound words, sound
Yes.
words. Yes.
So we have to encourage and embrace those who come back to help, and I'm trying to isolate them and so forth because of our own whatever political agenda and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Yes,
Very
yes.
well said. Very well said.
And
And
Shipton,
so-
Shipton have to run now. Okay, but after we want to thank you very much for
Yeah.
coming and sharing on these two division icons. And we realize that they would have made a significant contribution to the development of Nevis.
It was a pleasure,
We applaud them, yes.
and it's a
Yes.
start. I'm going to get to the other icons as
Yeah,
well. This is
definitely.
for sure.
Indeed,
We have
indeed.
to.
And so,
Yes.
and so I would say that here we have started a partnership, the good old days
yes,
and
yes,
Lofton
yes.
and Lofton Pemberton,
Yes.
a partnership which we hope will continue.
Oh, it definitely will.
Because our business, our mantra here is to educate,
Educate to elevate.
help those who knew it before to remember,
Yes.
and those who didn't know to educate them.
And my parting word would be the mantra of the great Honorable Dr. D.R. Walwyn.
Alvin, yes.
Knowledge is power.
Yes, definitely.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Okay.
And
And
that's
so I
it,
just
yes.
leave with these last comments. Amethyst Hendricks Martin is what it says. Good day. Just listening today. Blessings. Everyone says, my dad Eric Jeffers Bowes used to fish out of cotton ground from 1955 to sometime in 1960 something. When he left for England, he also went to St. Kitts to sell fish and see his mom, Tudor Taylor. Margaret Hanley. Margaret, oh, okay, I'll give you a chance because you're a favorite person of mine. He says, sorry to be late, but I was viewing the funeral service of Prince. Okay. Okay, I understood. Iona says, we to keep down here, especially if we want to open businesses. You make a phone call from they hear Nivision voices, automatically it's a no. But let them hear English, European, USA, Taiwan, or anywhere else twangs. They start jumping without even asking how high. All right.
That's not good, yes.
All right. Iona. And speak. I say how you feel.
Yes.
Ian says, did Mr. Pemberton used to be on basketball court with Freddie Hanley?
Oh, before Freddie time.
He said before Freddie time.
Okay.
Okay.
Freddie come after me.
Yeah. And Jam Fab says, I agree with the guest. Some of us had to leave Nevis while others moving on. Okay, and so there is where we leave it for another good old days. And we look forward to reconnecting with you again next week.
Yes. So until
So
bye.
until then,
Yeah.
we say bye-bye.
Bye. It was nice.